I'm Ben Greenfield, and I get a lot of questions about what I eat for breakfast when I'm in hot and heavy training. So I want to show you what a typical breakfast is for me. Now, remember, of all the meals that you could have that are going to be big with lots of carbohydrate, breakfast is going to be the meal that's perfect for that because it fills you up with energy for the rest of the day. And they've actually done studies that show that it helps with your appetite and the way that you feel later on in the day when you have a big breakfast to start off your day. So let me show you what I do. I've got some oatmeal going here on the stove, and what I do is like not very much oatmeal, just enough to give it a little bit of texture. For me, it's like a very small handful of oatmeal, but I get the oatmeal going and I've got that cooking, and then generally what goes in on top of the oatmeal is protein powder. And I'll usually do about like anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of a protein powder, and I just put that right into the oatmeal after I've kind of turned it down and put it on simmer. So there's definitely a significant amount of protein in there, and it gives it a little bit of texture. So got the protein powder in there, and the next thing that I do is a little bit of cinnamon. I like the cinnamon because it helps to control your blood sugar. It's a good source of fiber, and it tastes good. As you can see, I do a lot of cinnamon too. So the next thing that I'll do is give it some texture. Sometimes I'll chop up a banana and put a banana in there. Sometimes I'll use this stuff. It's just a mix of coconut flakes and chia seeds. And what I'll do is just dump that in there as well. Gives it some nice texture, and because it's never acceptable to have oatmeal without having a few raisins in it, I always top it off with just a few raisins to give it a little bit of extra texture. Now, once I've got all of that in there, you're gonna find that the protein powder kind of gums up the oatmeal a little bit. And so what I like to do to give it some extra fat and also to help the protein to mix up is I do a little bit of full fat coconut milk right on top of the protein and the raisins and everything else. Now sometimes I'll use like yogurt or kefir, and if I use that, I put it in after I've taken the oatmeal off the stove because it's got probiotics in it, and you don't want to kill the probiotics. Now what I'll do is I'll stir all this up, and it makes kind of like this slurry. And after I've done this, I'm not done yet, believe it or not. This is generally about right around a 600 to 700 calorie meal, depending on how much you put in there. So the last thing that will go in there is, I'll reduce the heat a little bit, almond butter. Again, give it a little bit extra fat, help it to stick to the ribs a little bit. So generally right around a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of almond butter in there. And then I'll stir that up. And that is what I have for breakfast pretty much every morning, and it's really tasty.